If I had to restart and make $80,000 in a single month again, this is exactly what I'll do to be able to scale my coaching business to that point. I've been in the space for the last 4 years and I've pretty much seen it all. I've seen businesses go from 0 to 100K a month. I've actually helped those businesses start from like 0, 50, 100, 200. I've seen pretty much all of it. And because I help people do this on a daily basis, like I have tons of results of guys that they're able to scale, I know exactly the path that every single person needs to take in order to get here. So the goal of this entire video is to, number one, just show you how easy this is, and number two, show you a clear roadmap of what you need to follow in order for you to get here. So first thing that I will start is I will establish who and what I'm going to be helping people with. Okay, so this is obviously basic. But a lot of people don't actually start here. They just jump in and they're like, oh, what should I sell? But I always start with the who, because the who is going to define everything. So in order for you guys to understand like how a coaching business actually works, you need to understand that coaching business almost follows a chronological order. So it starts with your market. Then after your market, it starts with your offer. Then after your offer, it starts with your, I guess like the sales assets. After your sales assets, you then start with your traffic. After your traffic, you then have your funnel. And then after your funnel, you have your sales process. And then after your sales process, you have onboarding. So this is where people actually pay you and you start working with the clients that are paying you to solve a problem. So everything has to follow this order. You can't start from here or start from here and start from here. And I'm going to explain what each of these actually mean, because if you actually implement these things correctly, you're going to be able to understand how easy it is to scale a coaching business. So like with anything, every sort of business, they all kind of follow similar principles. I guess the way that it's defined is just different. You always start from your market, which is who you're actually going to be helping. Your offer is what you're going to be presenting to the market for them to trust you that you can actually help them. The sales assets is what you're going to show as like proof that you can actually do what you need to do. So whether that's like a VSL, landing page, Instagram page, something that just breaks down exactly how you can help. Traffic is exactly how you're gonna get the people in the market to see your offer and your sales assets. Then the funnel is how you're gonna push those people into your ecosystem where you can explain your value proposition. Your sales process is how you actually explain that value proposition, whether it's through a sales call, whether it's through like, send them seeing a document, whether it's them watching like a video, DMing you. And then onboarding is how once they've seen the value and they've exchanged value with you, how do they get into your product and how do you actually help them solve the problem? Okay, so there's a little bit more after onboarding, but I'm just going to keep it as this because this is what actually makes the money, and then the onboarding and the fulfillment is the stuff that you guys are going to be experts in. So when I say establish the who and the what I pretty much mean is establish who your market is and what your offer is. So because the market is going to define a lot of things. So it's going to define how you do your marketing. It's going to define how you handle your sales process. It's going to define how you handle your onboarding, because everything starts from the market. Think of it as like the whole pool that almost kind of like depicts your potentiality and how much you can actually make with your business itself. Let me give you an example. If I say I want to be going after rich people that have, let's say, health problems, this is a pretty decently sized market, but it's not a big market. It's a big market in terms of like the grand scheme of things. There's millions and millions of rich people. But if you compare that to, let's say, helping people make money online with like an e-commerce store, that's an even bigger pool of people. And that's not to say you can't make money with both. You can actually make a lot more money over here if you know what you're doing compared to the other ones. And you can make a lot of money with everything. But like I said, it's going to change the way I market, because, for example, if I am marketing to rich people, the offer is going to have to slightly change. The way I'm marketing it, the way my sales assets will probably slightly change. The way I conduct my sales process is most likely to change. So you need to define exactly what this is going to be, because if you don't define this, it's going to be extremely hard. So a rule of thumb for this is you need to kind of look at it from like, who can you actually help the most? Okay, who can you help the most? Think about your experiences. If you're watching this, you are probably someone that's like a little bit more on the above level of intelligence, because these types of videos are like longer form breakdowns that explain specific hard concepts. So I respect you for watching this. And I would imagine that you probably have a skill set or you have something that you're good at that people would be willing to actually pay you for. And that could be whether you are good at, like, I don't know, coaching people with the fitness, whether you're good at helping them with the mental health, whether you're good at helping them make a lot of money. So what your skill sets have, you need to understand there are going to be certain people that can benefit based off that skill set depending on how you can actually position it to the right types of people. What do I mean by this? If you have a skill set of helping people with their health, you can pretty much help anyone. If let's say someone has like, I don't know, like gut issues, or they have like fitness problems, you technically can help anyone, because those types of people, if you went to a guy who's like homeless, for example, you can pitch them and you'll be able to help them. If you went to a guy that's like a billionaire, you'd also be able to help them. So you have to kind of just pick, okay, who can you help the best? And then you're gonna have a little list of people, whether it's like guys that are like in corporate, guys that are like in sales, blah, 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 blah. And then based off that, you need to ask yourself, who's going to provide me the best amount of return? And ask yourself, what do you actually want to do? Because a lot of you guys don't even know why you're trying to build a business in the first place, because everyone always tells you that, oh yeah, just do this to make a lot of money. But why are you actually trying to make a lot of money? Like, are you trying to help a lot of people? Are you just trying to get rich? Are you just trying to build a name for yourself? Any of your answers, it's not right or wrong. It's just what you want to do. So I always like to ask myself, what do you want to do when I work with people? Do you just want to make the most amount of money as possible? Or do you want to like have a specific mission? Do you have something that you want to help people with? Most of the time, people have either like a mission or they just want to make a shit ton of money. So I'm going to give you the options for both. If you just want to make a shit ton of money, you want to go after the ICP that is number one, easiest to find, or number two, pays the most. So, and then also you can speak their language. Super important. Okay, so what do I mean by this? You have to kind of follow these checkboxes, and I actually have a more in-depth checkbox that I use every time I work with someone. I like to call it like the niche checklist. It's pretty much a way of like knowing exactly what type of niche you want to be going after and like how to figure it out, how to score them. And then based off that, you'll be able to know, okay, with my skill sets and with what I'm good at, this is the exact niche that I need to be going after. Like you can probably see on the screen over here, explaining how it actually looks and what it does. So if you want that scorecard, I obviously work with people one-on-one to be able to define this. So if you want to learn how that works, there's going to be a link down below. It's literally a 5-minute video. It explains exactly how I do these types of things. But pretty much, you are going to score based on every single niche that you could potentially go into, which one is the best one to actually do. So I would always try to opt in for number one, something that's the easiest to find. Number two, something that you can actually like pays you a lot of money. So for example, if you say rich people, or you say guys that are making over 100K a year, there's loads of guys that do that. Can they pay you a lot of money? Because yeah, they do make 100K a year, so they can pay you a lot of money. And can you speak their language? Can you speak the stuff that is good, they're going to be actually struggling with? For example, if the way that you're going to market to someone that works at McDonald's is not the same way that you're going to be marketing to someone that is like corporate finance guy that spends like 12 hours a day on their desk. It's two different types of people. They can have the same problem. You can help them with the same things, but they're two different types of people that pay differently, react differently, work differently, have a different sales process that you need to use to convey them to make a purchase with you. Completely different people. So you have to just define how can you talk to them, because if you can't talk to them, it's like you're going to be trying to speak Chinese to someone that only understands Japanese. It's like, it's impossible. They're not going to be able to understand what you're trying to say. So you need to be able to speak their language. Once you have a list of all the different things that you have into place of like, okay, cool, these are the potential niches I want to go after. Once you have that, all you literally just need to do is so simple, is literally just pick and be like, okay, this is exactly who I want to go after. Now, every single thing I'm going to do is going to be in definition and in alignment with this specific niche. And this is the problem I see a lot of guys make. They jump into their business and they say, okay, cool, I want to just make a lot of money. They don't define who's going to actually be paying them the amount of money, and they just take on everyone. They have guys who are workers, they have guys who have corporate jobs, they have business owners, and then they wonder why they can't focus on one specific person to scale, because you guys have different niches. You don't even know what you're doing yourself. Your clients don't even know what you're doing yourself. You're just taking payments, which is fine in the beginning points, but once you get to a point where you're like actually thinking about scaling and making more money, you can't just serve everyone, because if you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. Okay, so that's a super important thing. If you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. It's a bar. I can't even spell. Anyways, you get the point. So this is what it would look like in terms of figuring out who it is. Once you figure out who it is, now you want to get into the actual offer itself. So the offer itself is where it gets fun, because you can actually be like a little bit tricky with how you define it. So if I was starting off again, the niche that I would pick is I would genuinely try to go after the people that have money. Number one reason is because it alleviates the objection of them not having a lot of money. So if I wanted to restart, I would maybe go into like a niche where I have a skill set that can benefit people that already have money. So if it's like fitness, for example, I could go into that. If it's like something where I teach people how they can manage their finances better, I can go into that. If it's a niche where I teach people how they can obviously, like, I don't know, save more money on taxes, I would go into that. So it's like those types of niches where the types of people I'm going to be speaking to already have some sort of money. It makes my life a lot easier. So let's assume I have a tax offer. I help you save money on taxes so that you can pretty much like put that money back into your business to be able to scale. So that's like my offer. Let's say that's the offer itself. Okay, so I will be saying in terms of how I would be positioning the offer, because the offer is like a combination of different things. It's not just a statement. It's a combination of your statement. It's a combination of the outcome they can expect. And it's also a combination of a persona. So these three things are important. So I've already spoken about what a persona is, but just to give you like a very short breakdown of what a persona is. A persona is just like someone in a specific awareness level, okay? So what I mean by an awareness level, if you guys are not aware, is there's different levels of awareness for any sort of thing that you're solving in the market, okay? So there's people that are unaware, there's people that are aware, there's people that are problem aware, and then there's people that are solution aware, and then there's people that are most aware, okay? So what do I mean by this? Unaware people basically are people that don't even know who you are and they don't even know they have a problem. They're just living life and they're just enjoying stuff. Let's go back to my tax example. If I have a persona of someone that is unaware, that means I am trying to go after people who don't know anything about number one, taxes, and also people who don't know anything about me. So that's what that would look like. They don't know anything about their problems. Aware people are people that kind of know who you are, but they don't necessarily know like too much about like the whole thing. They know about taxes, for example, but they don't know the problems associated with taxes. They don't know any solutions associated with taxes. They just know what taxes are. There's going to be people in that bracket. So I could go after a persona that is aware about taxes, for example. The problem aware people, these are people that know that they have a problem with taxes. They're like, okay, cool. I haven't paid taxes in, let's say, 2 years, for example. I know I should be paying it, but I don't really know how deep this is. Maybe I can keep this around. Maybe it's not too much of a problem. Cool. Now you have the solution aware guys, where they're like, okay, cool guys. I'm low-key fucked if I don't pay my taxes. My taxes are too high. I'm paying these every single year. And it's like, bro, I know I can make this cheaper. Like, what the hell is going on? And then you have the most aware people who are basically like, yo, I need a solution for this now. Like, I know there's solutions out there. I know what solutions I need for my stuff. I need to either set up like a subsidiary in a different country. I need to set up like a different bank account. I need to sign up in the US. I need to go into like Ohio where it's like zero tax. I don't know if it's zero tax, but that's just an example. Those are the people that are like super, super aware. So depending on which awareness level they are, you speak to them differently. The way that you speak to someone that is solution aware is not the same way that you speak to someone that is problem aware. What do I mean by this? If I know that I need to be paying my taxes, which everyone should be if you have a business that's doing pretty well, okay? So if I know that I need to be paying my taxes, the first thing that I'll probably be doing is I'll be looking at different people that can show me what do I need to do for my taxes? How do I set everything up? Blah, 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 blah. So I am basically solution aware. So that means I'm actively looking for solutions to pay my taxes because I know that it's a problem if I don't do it. So that's me being a solution aware. A problem aware person, they don't even know it's a problem. They know that, hey, like I probably should be paying it, but they don't know how bad it is. So the way you're going to speak to them is going to be extremely different. And that's also going to that's also going to slightly change how your offer is going to come across. So in this situation, what I would probably do is I would go after people that are either problem aware or solution aware because I can speak to their problems very clearly. So I can say, hey, you know you should be paying your taxes, but you're not paying them because this is blah, 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 blah. Or you could go after solution aware people. I always like to test and then I like to finalize on one because those are the people that are going to pay you the most amount of money if you figure out exactly how to do it. So for example, solution aware people, they might actually pay me the most amount of money because they're the ones that are actually paying taxes. So they have the pain of constantly having to log in, pay the taxes, see a crazy bill, and they're like, yo, this is bullshit. Like, what the fuck is this shit, bro? Like, I can't do this at all. Like, this is really, really bad. And when they see that, what tends to go to their mind is that like they're looking for solutions to be like, how can I actually pay less? Because this is like too much. So it will be a lot easier to convey my value because I wouldn't have to explain too much about the problem of not paying your taxes. And all I have to do is I just have to convince them that I'm the right person that they need to work with for them to save a lot of taxes on. That's an easier sell than having to convince people why they should be paying the taxes because they might not really realize how big the problem is. Obviously, that's just from my perspective, but that's what I truly believe it is. And you can look at it from different examples. I know a guy that I actually met at like in a mastermind. It's William Rivera's mastermind. He had his tax offer. He does like multiple six figures a month. And he goes after people who are already paying their taxes, like business owners, and they just want to save more. And those people pay him a lot of money because they can realize they can also make a lot of money as well too. So that's the cool thing about that. So the persona, super important. Figure out who you want to speak to. Once you have your persona, you want to figure out your outcomes. So the outcome that you sell, a lot of people like to say that the outcome is going to dictate how much you're going to be able to charge. I don't really think so. I think the pricing is going to be based on the perception that you can provide about the actual outcome. The actual outcome itself is just what they're going to get from you. So in this case, I'll probably say save taxes, for example, and be like, I'll show you how to save millions of dollars a year in taxes so you can reinvest that back into your business. It's a pretty conveying offer. So obviously that would need to find someone that's already making a decent amount of money, which I will be using with my, with the persona over here by picking a persona of someone that's already paying their taxes. And then the whole offer argument would be, hey, I will help you save XYZ every single year. And it will be pretty straightforward. All I have to do is I would have to research exactly what I need to do in order for their situations to save a lot of money, what type of subsidiaries they can open, blah, 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 blah. It might sound crazy, but it's really not that difficult. There's a bunch of loopholes, and the reason why a lot of these guys don't figure it out is because they're just too busy to be able to sit down and do it, and it's not their job. So they'd be willing to pay me that for a lot of money. So I would then probably say, okay, cool. Depending on how much we can save, we'll charge based on that. So if I can help them save an extra 100K a year, I don't think it's unreasonable to charge them 10K for that, because you're taking 10% of what they're actually going to be making. I have another pricing worksheet that I also use as well too over here. This is something that I use in my group as well too. And guys, if you also want this and you want to just like even get advice as well, feel free to just DM me as well. Or if you want to like just get this and just work directly with me so I can give you the pricing strategies, there's going to be a link down below as well too. So we also have that. And what I like to do is I always like to base kind of relative to the value. So you almost want to create the effect that, oh my gosh, this is a steal. Like that's kind of like the effect that you want to create. A lot of people disagree and like, oh my gosh, like, you want to make them feel like, oh my God, this is super expensive. When you're first starting out, which is what this video is for, you want to make people feel like they're getting a steal, guys. Because I hear the whole thing of like, yes, charge a lot of money to make them feel like it's premium. I hear that. I understand that. I understand why you should do that. But at the same time, when you were starting out, you want people to feel like they're the ones robbing you, not the other way around. You get what I mean? So that way, when you have enough case studies, you can then go the other way around and be like, hey, I actually have a premium service. It's either you pay me or you don't pay me. And that's the best position to be in, because once you're in that position, you can dictate what your prices are. But when you're first starting out, don't listen to the guys that are going to be telling you charge whatever, charge what you're worth, charge what you think your information is worth. This shit is bullshit. It's going to make you poor. Charge relative to the amount of value that you can provide based on the outcome that they're actually going to experience. Make you feel like it's a steal. You will get a lot more clients initially, then increase your prices and then charge whatever the fuck you want to charge. Don't do it the other way around where people say charge whatever you want to charge now, because you're going to be poor forever. Don't do that. Okay, so that's what I would recommend over here. So it's there, and then obviously people are going to feel like it's a steal because I'm pricing it based on that. If you don't have an ROI based offer, yes, it can be a bit more trickier, but not really if you know how to kind of price that, because I work with a lot of people that have non-ROI based offers as well too. So like I said over here on this document, there's even a section specifically just for non-ROI pricing that I use in terms of how to position it the right way. Really and truly what you're trying to do with this specific type of niche, if you don't have an ROI based pricing, like maybe you do trauma coaching, maybe help people get into a better relationship, maybe help people with their shape, for example, you basically need to tie that outcome to something that seems like it has some sort of ROI. So for example, the ROI that you would get if you had better focus and you had better time to be able to put into your business is pretty much like 10x, like your business can 10x because you have more focus. If you have an ROI where it's like, hey, like, you know, relationship, how much time do you feel like you free up once you're off dating apps and you don't have to be talking about or thinking about girls? You can use that time into growing yourself, growing your business, do whatever you want to do for yourself. If I have something about fitness, think how much better you feel once you're in shape. Think how many girls you get once you're in shape. All that type of shit. It's like, guys, like, people get it. Like, you need to be able to attach something that's intangible to something that's tangible, because that's the only way that you can kind of like really sell those types of offers. Okay, so that's what I'll do over here. I will basically price relative to the outcome. Guys, this is the best pricing strategy that you can use when you're starting out. Don't listen to anyone else that's going to tell you, charge what you're worth, you're going to be broke forever. So once you've done that, do the statement, which the statement is basically going to be like the I help thing. So it's like, now that I have my persona and I have my outcome, I always like to start from the persona first, because I think the persona makes figuring out the outcome and the statement a lot easier. So I help existing businesses save, let's say, 100K to $1 million a year in taxes. And then what you can include is you can pretty much put like a guarantee. Guarantees will help accelerate your offers as well, because like I said, in the beginning phases, you want to make yourself feel like a steal and like a no-brainer. And then what you would do is you basically say like, hey, and or if I don't, I'll work for free until I do. Or you can be like, and if I don't help you save that amount of money, I'll give you the money back. So it's like, that's kind of like a cool way of doing it. If I don't help you like hit your fitness goals, I'll give you the money back. If you don't find a relationship of your dreams in the next like 6 months, I'll give you the money back, or I'll work with you until you do. Like, stuff like that works well. If you don't want to do a money back, which is fine and understandable, you can do work with you for free until you do, which basically means they pay you, and if they don't get the result that they wanted in like 6 months time frame, which is maybe like the program length that you promised, that you will still work with them until they get that result. So that way it's like, you're pretty much guaranteeing that they get the results anyways. It just doesn't really matter how long it takes, because sometimes it does take longer for some people. So that's the offer that I'll do. Okay, so we've already established my offer, which is going to be helping people with their taxes. I'm going to be helping solution aware people, so people who already have businesses with their taxes. And my offer statement is going to be helping them make $1 million a year. And I'm going to tell them if I cannot achieve that, or if I cannot at least get close to that, I will give them the money back. So it becomes a no-brainer. So ladies and gentlemen, you have a grand slam offer over there, kind of like how Alex Hormozi likes to define it. And now we can pretty much get into the next step, which is the next thing that you need to do when you're starting from scratch, which is creating your sales assets. So what a sales asset is just a way of conveying your value, of conveying your offer to the market, basically. So what a sales asset could look like is, it could be a document, it could be a video sales letter, it could be YouTube videos like this, for example, it could be your Instagram page, it could be a document that they request for you that has information about what you do. So it doesn't really matter. I like to keep it simple because, and this is why I love starting from the top, because okay. I love starting from the beginning because it's a lot easier to do everything else, because now once you've defined who you're going after and what the problem is, everything else just flows. Because now think about it. If I'm going after business owners, what do business owners lack a lot of? They lack a lot of time. They're not like super free. They don't have like a shit ton of time they can use to be watching like tons of different like crazy trainings, whatever. So because these people don't have a crazy amount of time, and because I'm going after people who are already solution aware, so people who already know they have a problem, guess what I don't have to do? I don't have to be spending hours educating people on the problem that they have. I can just focus specifically on explaining how my service can help them and how I actually make them, how I'm different, okay? So what does that actually mean? Because of the awareness level, I think I described this before earlier, when you have unaware people, generally, this is like a sliding scale of the amount of education you need to give someone before they buy, okay? So the education that you genuinely need to give to someone that's unaware is extremely vast compared to the person that you need to give to someone that's already most aware, because the person that's already most aware has already been educated. What do I mean by this? If you have a sales asset and your goal is to make someone be aware of your offer in your specific market, if you are going after an unaware persona, you have to be really understanding that that person is going to need a lot of education. They're going to need either long form videos. They're going to need like either long ass trainings like this, for example. They're going to need to understand a little bit more about how you can actually help them with the problem, simply because they just don't know what the problems are. So you can't fault them for that. That's just your job. You have to do those things. If you don't do that, it's going to be extremely hard for them to actually trust you in the first place. So that's why when you're doing unaware stuff, things that are a little bit more longer formats work. So for example, if you do webinars, if you do longer format videos, if you do YouTube videos, these things make more sense because you're going after people that don't really know too much about what you can do and how you can actually help them. So that's how you'd go over here. But because my offer and the people I want to be going after are going to be solution aware, so it's kind of like on the middle side of things over here. So it's, I don't know why I put it in the middle. It's kind of like towards the edge. I will probably benefit less from super long stuff, because what that's going to do is it's just going to make people feel like, okay, cool. I understand that you have like some value and I understand that you're really good at what you do. But at the same time, bro, like, I just want to know how it can actually help me. So I don't know if I'm going to watch a 2-hour webinar video of you explaining like how you help people with their taxes. I'd much rather a 10-minute video that blows my mind away about a new solution that I haven't heard about. And then I want to work with you because I've seen that new solution. So because of this knowledge that we've acquired, because we've done it from the right way, from the beginning of your market and your offer and your persona, I can then conclude that, hey, maybe a 5 to 10 minute video sales letter, explaining exactly how I can help them in extreme detail with my solution and why my solution is different. And then explaining the benefits of using my solution, so I can be like, hey, you don't have to move countries, you don't have to do this. I can get whatever you're paying right now down by at least 30 to 40% by my systems I've done, because I've been in this space for whatever. Pay me, not pay me, I'll be like, this is how it works. Book a call so I can order your business and order your taxes. So I can show you how much you can save working with me. You see how that's very direct, and you see how that's specific to my persona at the top over here? Because if I didn't define that, I guarantee you for a fact, I would have been, and this is going to save people testing so much different things. Because every time I work with someone, by the way, if you obviously want to work with me, it's going to be a link down below. A 5-minute video explains exactly how it was. But every time I work with someone, they always come back and they tell me, yeah, this mentor told me to do this mentor told me to do that, this mentor told me to do this. And I ask them, why did you do it? And they're just like, oh, they just told me to do it. It's like, I can't even blame them, because they don't even know any better. Like, their mentors don't even give them fundamental explanations on how coaching business even actually work in the first place. So what they're doing is they're just spending time trying different funnels that don't even make sense for the people they're going after. Heck, if they know the people they're going after, and then they're just wasting all their time and effort doing all these things that are just basically leading to nothing. And I feel bad for them, because it's like they can't even differentiate what's the difference between a funnel that goes after an unaware person or a solution aware person, an aware person. And then they're just stuck in this like spiral of just doing bullshit. And it's so sad. So I always like to tell people, generally, if you want to go after a more solution aware market, once you've established who it is, generally give less information about the problem and more about your solution. If you're on the flip side of things, do the latter, okay? So we're on the flip side of things right now, so we're doing the latter. If you're in a different situation, maybe you're going after people who want to basically get into better relationships, or they want to heal their trauma, they know they have problems, but they don't know exactly what solutions they need to do, then you can spend time talking more about the problem and make more longer form assets. You're going to be in the middle. So if you're in the middle, generally, either or will work. I would probably gravitate more towards explaining the problem a little bit more, and then it also explain the solution. So either or will work, but when you start getting more to the spectrum over here, you want to be focusing more specifically about how you can actually be different and why you're different, and how you can actually help them in a different way to what they've actually seen. So that's what the sales assets will look like. There's tons of different sales assets you can use, VSLs, stuff like that. And guys, if you don't know what all of this stuff means as well too, feel free to ask me questions in the comments or in the DMs as well too. And if you guys are enjoying this video so far, please leave a like. It helps me out a lot. And yeah, that's what I'll do on that side of things. And now we're going to get into the actual traffic. So now, once you know exactly who you're speaking to, you then know exactly what type of funnel you're going to be using, or not funnel, sales assets you're going to be showing to these people. The fun part comes in, and the fun part is getting traffic. So traffic is like the fourth step in here, because obviously traffic becomes a lot clearer once you know who you're speaking to. There's two ways to kind of like get traffic, okay? And I always like to focus on what's easiest, but I will give you both options. You've got organic content and you've got paid ads. For coaching businesses, this is kind of like what you're kind of working with. People say outbound, not really. People say other stuff like referrals, also not really as well too. This is kind of what you're working with when you have a coaching business, either content or paid ads. If you want to scale it to like at least a really decent level, you're kind of working with these two things. So with content, you need to be extremely clear on who you're speaking to. And then you also want to be extremely clear on understanding outliers. And then you also need to be able to understand hook psychology and also just like how to create like engaging videos, okay? So it's really much like an art with organic content, okay? And it's a very long and tedious art because all you're basically trying to do is you're trying to understand, okay, cool, who am I speaking to? Let's say with the tax stuff, it's people who already have businesses. Now I understand, okay, cool, who I'm speaking to. Now I want to know who are my outliers. So what an outlier is videos performing in your specific niche, going after your specific type of person, or in a different niche, for example, and you're basically trying to understand why they went viral. So, for example, if I went after someone that is a competitor in this niche that is also helping people save taxes, and let's say they had a video have like 500K video views, and maybe they had like a ManyChat CTA in that video, and they told people to comment. So I know for a fact that they got like 10,000 leads from one video. How did they fucking do that? That's what you're basically trying to understand with an outlier. You're basically trying to understand what are the videos that are doing extremely well in my current niche? Why are they doing well? How can I recreate them for them myself so that they can also do well as well too? So that's the outliers. The hook psychology is pretty much like what they're saying in the actual video and then what they're saying in the body that's making the video actually engaging, because some people think it's just as easy as just copying the video and it's going to do well for you. No, the specific things, underlying things that could be a reason why something does well. For example, a background. Like something as simple as a background could be an entire reason why a video does well. For example, if someone's talking about how they made like $1 million last year, and let's say you also made $1 million last year, but they recorded their video driving around in a Porsche, and then they walked out into the mansion as they're recording the video, and their kids in the background. They have multiple cars in the background as they're talking, and they're like, yeah, you know, I made $1 million, blah, blah, blah. They see all the visual cues, so they're like, okay, cool, this guy's on motion. But if I say, this is how I made $1 million, and I'm in the fucking corner of my room there with a white background, and I have like a dusty ass like wife beater on, and I'm talking about it, is it gonna perform? I don't know. You never really know, but the cues are different. So it's not just what they're saying in the video, it's how it's being packaged, like how it's being edited, etc., and then how they make it engaging. So there's so many variables that make organic content work that's why I see it's more of an art. Like there's literally people that have programs specifically just for organic content alone, because that is like, it's an entire art to really understand it. And it's not something that I'm the best at, so I'm not gonna like create like an entire masterclass. I've been able to do content pretty well for myself. To be fair, like get videos over like 100K views on Instagram, also on YouTube as well too, and have videos get thousands of views and actually convert and make me a lot of money with my YouTube. But I'm not gonna comment on that because I truly don't believe I'm an expert. There's guys that are experts, so you can probably watch them if you wanna really master organic content, because this is probably the only way that you can do it that's kind of semi-free. People say it's free, but obviously you have costs in terms of like editors, people you need to pay, etc., etc. But it is probably one of the cheapest ways to kind of get into it. But it is a grind. It's gonna take some time. Paid ads, if you know what you're doing, is where it gets fun. And I'm not saying this with any bias, it's just the truth. If you run paid ads, you're basically paying for people to see your content. So you're paying for your exact ICP to basically see your stuff. You can pay for exactly where they can be. They can pay for what place they're gonna be. If you wanna go after people in the UK, US, UAE, whatever, you can pay for what type of awareness level you want them to be. If you make the ads in the correct way, you can actually do that. And you can also pay for where you want them to go. So you can send them to a specific place instead of like organic content that just sends them to like your Instagram page or whatever. So cool thing about organic content is you can control a lot of the variables. Other thing that with that is that like you don't have to have like crazy outliers or whatever. You have to obviously be good at making engaging ads. But because like you can get your feedback fast, you will know if your engaging ads are good or not. And then also it directly correlates to money. Okay? That's the cool thing with paid ads. The issue with this is it obviously It costs money to do this. That's the caveat. Oh no, you have to spend money to make money. Wow, insane phenomena. But that's just the truth. You have to spend money to make money in this game, but it's a faster way to just drive traffic to your people. I always recommend paid ads. I've made multiple videos going over my exact paid ad strategy that I use because number one, it doesn't actually cost that much. You can actually get clients spending like $100, $500, $1,000 with paid ads and then use that money to reinvest. You don't really need a lot because people tell you need tens of thousands of dollars. And I feel like there's this bad stigma with paid ads that make people feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't, I have to put 10K on these ads and I'm going to waste a lot of money before I make my money back. No, you're just working with people that don't know what they're doing. So don't listen to that stuff. But yeah, paid ads. I made lots of videos. If you want to check out a video that I made on paid ads, I'll probably link that down below. I did an entire masterclass going over it in my mastermind where a bunch of cool guys were at, like Nero, Siway Go, Josh Agashe, tons of killers in this space that also have their own specific programs on specific things. But I'm going to leave this paid ads here because I want to talk a little bit more about how you can actually position your funnel. So once you have traffic, you obviously need to send that traffic specific to a place. So for example, you can either send your traffic to your DMs, you can send it to a funnel, you can sell it to like, I don't know, you can send it anywhere, bro. You can send it to like a newsletter, heck, you can fucking do that. You can send it to like, I don't know, like TikTok page, whatever. You can send it to anything, okay? So I always like to send people to a place where the information of what they need to do is pretty straightforward and decentralized. So in this example over here with the tax example that I'm doing, which is the new business I'm going to be starting, which if I had to restart, I would most likely either do a combination of organic content and paid ads. I don't like to say either one or the other, just do both, because if you have the means to do both, especially, I recommend you do that. So with the paid ad section, what I'll probably do is I'll just spend a lot of money to, not a lot of money because it's not like I'll probably spend like 20 bucks a day for profile visit ads. So what that profile visit ads is, it's basically getting people to view my Instagram profile. So after I've optimized my profile, which I have an entire training on how I optimize my profile in the right way that gets my qualified buyers to actually follow me. Once I've optimized my profile, what I would do is I'll just tell people in the ad like, hey, if you want to know exactly what my solution is, if you want me to send over my solution, give me a follow or DM me and I'll send over my solution to you. So my whole goal is I want to educate them about why my solution is going to be better than what they're doing to save a lot of taxes. And because my promise is going to be bold, I'm going to get a decent amount of people. So the goal is to establish my control metrics. So what my control metrics are is how much does it cost me to get a follower? So cost per follower, CPF. And then how much does it cost me to get a qualified follower? So cost per QPF. So qualified follower basically means that how much does it cost me to get someone that is actually a business owner that is actually paying their taxes? Because if you're running these ads, yes, you can structure ads in a way where you do use different funnels where everyone that comes in is the exact person that you want as long as they're not lying. But those ones are generally a little bit more expensive because we're starting off here and we don't have it all. We're going to start with the follow ads, which you can't really control who follows you. You can kind of control who sees it, but you can't control who actually follows you, okay? So based on this metrics, I would then understand, okay, cool. Out of these people who are following me, how many of these people can I actually book on a conversation? How many people actually respond to my reach outs, and how many of these guys can I actually book on conversations? So once I have these control variables, I can then start setting a KPI for myself. So let's say, for example, I spend $100, I then get 50 leads. And the reason why I like using paid ads is because it's just simpler and it just tells you everything you need to do. So I get 50 followers, but out of those followers, only 25 of those followers were actual business owners. So that basically means my cost per follower is $2 over here. Is it $2? Yeah, it's $2. Yeah, $2. But then my cost per qualified follower is actually $4. So I'm spending $4 to get a qualified person that is a business owner. Out of this $4 now, how many of these people am I in active conversations with? Let's say I'm only talking to about 10 of these guys after 25 people follow me, which is kind of realistic, okay? So that means it costs me like $10 to get like an active conversation. And then out of that $10, let's say 5 of these people I actually book in. So 5 people that are like, they're like really eager about saving their taxes. I book 5 of them. So that basically means I spend $100 to get 5 calls. So I spent $20 per call. So you see how these control metrics are just so much easier to work with when you're running ads. And like I said, you don't really need a lot of money to do this. So you can actually start off with like literally just like $500, $1,000. You're able to get these types of metrics. So once you have these metrics in here, it then becomes easier to understand, okay, cool, what should I be doing to funnel these people to the right place? So depending on what your funnel is, because in this situation, we are doing a DM funnel, these are my funnel economics over here. If I was sending people to a landing page, my funnel economics could be different. If I send people to a page where they have to fill out the information, I might have people like, go to a page, they have to see the page, they have to then opt in. So let's say from like 50 followers, for example, it then turns into 100 page visits, which is not as valuable as followers. So 100 people who saw my page, out of those 100 people, maybe 40 of them actually gave me the information. So I got 40 leads. So my cost per lead is like a little bit higher. But then out of those 40 leads, let's say only 2 people booked a call. So now it's like, because my funnel economics are different, I have to cater to that funnel. So that's why, like I said, when you start off, do the thing that's a little bit more easier to start off with, because that way you don't force yourself in situations where you're kind of cooked. Okay, so once your funnel is in place, and you kind of like have something that's already worked and you've established funnel economics, and if you guys don't know what type of funnel and you really want to get there to the point where you skip a lot of guessing work, because a lot of the reasons why a lot of people work directly with me and why I usually recommend mentors as well too, is they just skip a lot of guessing work, so they don't have to guess what type of funnel they need to use, because obviously I've worked with over 500 plus businesses at this point. I know what types of funnels work. I know what types of ads work. I know what types of organic content work. So it's like, it's just skipping all the buying time. And guys, it's not really that expensive compared to how much you guys can make. So it's going to be a link down below. It's just 5 minutes, so you can check it out. But once you've done this, you then have to establish, like I said, your funnel economics. And then now this becomes your gospel. So what I mean by it becomes your gospel is every single day, without fail, you focus on, number one, optimizing your funnel economics to get more calls every single day. Once you've established all of this stuff over here, what I will be doing with my tax offer is every single fucking day, I will be optimizing these funnel economics to be as efficient as possible. How much can I make my cost per follower cheaper? How much can I have high conversations with people? How many calls can I squeeze in from this funnel? You have to be like super meticulous about increasing this every single day, because if you start doing this correctly, you're going to be in a way better advantage than anyone else, because a lot of people, they'll set this up and then they'll just skip it and they start focusing on different things. But like, guys, this is like the bare bones of your business. The way you get your traffic to convert into sales calls or convert into people who see your sales process, it's like the bare bones of your business. If you can't optimize this and if you can't have your daily conversations about this, you're never going to be able to scale. Every single time I meet with my team, every single time I meet with my clients, once we have at least got past this initial stage over here, I'm always focusing on this every single time, because it's like, this is like the bare bones of the business. If you can optimize this, you can optimize pretty much everything, and it gives you like a metric of what you need to do to be able to scale. So pick a funnel, and like I said, if you don't know what funnels you need to use and you're still confused, feel free to DM me on Instagram or just book in a conversation with me. I'll explain how everything works. But once you've established that, then you need to get into your sales process. And sales process is really, really fun, because you can pick a cool sales process depending on what type of offer you have. So general rule of thumb, the higher ticket, whatever you're selling is, so the more expensive it is, the more personalized your process needs to be, okay? The less expensive it is, just say more, let's just say greater than, the less personalization you need, okay? So all you're trying to do in your sales process is, what type of personalization can I need to give to someone that wants to buy my product? So I would assume it's probably going to be a high ticket service, for example, okay? So if I am charging, let's say 10K for this tax coaching offer, I would generally have conversations with people about their businesses, because they would have unique different things. So someone might hop on and be like, hey, I have this company set up here, and I'm paying XYZ. I want to be able to pay this much so I can reinvest this much. Cool. If I send them to a landing page, they might not be able to get an answer for that specific situation, and they're not probably going to just buy 10K from a payment link. That's not to say they can't do that. I've seen people do those types of things. But what I'm trying to say is, it's a lot easier to personalize the situation to them if I'm a beginner and I'm just starting out. So instead of just trying to optimize and be as efficient as possible, being like, yeah, I don't want to have conversations, talk to people, have a call with them, have a conversation to be like, what does your business look like? What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? And then based off that, they'll tell you what the things they're struggling with are and why they want to work with you. And then based off that, you can give them an offer, or you can pitch them, and then they either say yes or no. That's it. So that's the cool part about sales calls. It's like you get a direct answer, yes or no, straight away. If you're sending people to like landing pages, all you're just seeing is if they purchased or if they didn't purchase. But if someone didn't purchase, you don't know why. But at least on a sales call, you know why someone didn't buy. You know why this person didn't go through. So that's the cool thing about sales calls. The only caveat with this is obviously you need to have sales skills and you need to kind of know what you're doing to an extent. I don't believe in this whole thing of like you can wing a sales call. It's like maybe you can if you want to be broke, but it's like you kind of need to know what you're doing. So you need to have an actual structure in place to be able to close the people that are on your calls. And I've seen a really big thing where a lot of people fumble deals because they just don't know how to close. And it's not your fault. No one really teaches you how to close it efficiently, especially when you're a business owner, because it's a bit different compared to like if you were like a sales rep or a closer. Because business owners, we have a little bit of something called an advantage, which is the founder bias. Because when we have the founder bias, we tend to be a little bit overcritical about our product, and we also tend to be a little bit more selective about the people we're closing. When you're a closer, you really don't really give a fuck. Like you're just getting paid to close and you're never going to speak to that person again. So realistically speaking, you don't really have that sort of founder bias. So you can kind of just use any sort of like specific tactics and you're not going to have any sort of emotional attachment to it. But when you're a business owner, it's a little bit different. Everyone has emotional attachments to their programs, to the people they're talking to themselves as well too. So we tend to either subconsciously sabotage or over justify certain things that we don't need to do because of our sales skills are not in congruence with who we actually need to be able to close these types of people. So because of that, what we need to do is we need to learn sales. And you need to learn sales by looking at it from the perspective of how can I help this person as much as possible. It's not about you. It's not about what your service is. It's not about how much you're going to get paid. It's about how can I actually help this person if I can't or if I cannot. You always have to be in that frame of mind, because when you have those types of frame of mind, you're going to ask the right questions. It's like going to a doctor. The doctor is not going to think, yeah, it's going to be a 50K payday once this guy tells me about his leg being broke. Oh yeah. They're coming to you genuinely being like, I mean, that's why I assume they're genuinely being like, yo, how can I help you? What have you been struggling with? Because they actually want to not see you sick, in pain or whatever. So that's the way that you have to look at it. Come to it for an approach with like a doctor or like a therapist. What is the thing that you're struggling with? Don't look at it from a perspective of I'm going to get a payday. Look at it from the perspective as I'll get paid if I solve this guy's problem. So what is this guy's problem, okay? Obviously, I can go a little bit more specific into sales. I don't necessarily have like videos going over it. Like if you want me to do that, you can let me know in the comments as well too. I can make those types of videos. But that's what you need to be focusing on here, because I've taken probably over like 500, not even 500, bro, probably even more at this point, like 700 plus calls of sales. So I kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. And yeah, there's a process that you can follow. When you are selling less products, if you're not selling something that's super, super expensive, you can kind of get away with like videos explaining exactly how it works. So like, for example, if you're selling something that's like, maybe I'll say anything sub $1,000, it's like $500, $800, $300, $200, you can kind of get away with just like giving them information or videos explaining how it actually works. So you can do that. So obviously pick whatever you want to do. And then yeah, once you have your sales process, once they pay you, you pretty much just onboard them and you just solve the problem that you're doing. If you obviously want to go over the specifics about the problem, and like I said, it's going to be dependent on your situation and how good you are. But I always like to focus on just making sure that you're solving something that you're confident in solving, that you feel like you can actually do a really good job in it. Because if you can do that, you're going to be confident in selling it, and then you're going to be able to scale whatever sort of business that you have. So that's pretty much it, guys. And obviously, if you want to work directly with me to be able to scale your business and take it to the next level, it's going to be a link down below. 5-minute video, not that crazy expensive, and it can actually help you make a shit ton of money. So hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.